All right, guys, welcome to the channel again. We have another great software for you today. If you are selling on Amazon, you want to know whether or not you're actually making any money. And for that, you need a great profit tracker. And I have one for you today with SellerBoard. So, welcome to Alex from SellerBoard. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, David. Thank you so much for the invitation, for the opportunity to be a part of the Amazon Tools League.
Of course, yeah. Frequent watchers of the Amazon Tools League will know SellerBoard has been up there among the top profit trackers for a long time and staying up there for a long time. And of course, I keep on testing them and keep on demoing them. And today we again want to see what really makes them such a front runner in this edition. So, but before we actually get into the tool and get a little demo for you guys, let's just quickly know a little bit about Sellerboard's background and also Alex's background a little bit. So, what is the background of Sellerboard? How did you get started with the software? What's the motivation behind Sellerboard?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So, SellerBoard was started back in 2017, so a while ago.
Yeah.
It was founded by two people. It's Vladi and Michael, so the co-founders. And actually, one of them, Vladi, was an Amazon seller himself in the German marketplace. So he started selling in Germany. And he started small, as a lot of Amazon sellers do, with his own product that he was importing, and he was basically having his own little, product and niche, and had some traction in there. And then at some point, when he gained to start traction, the sales started coming in.
Yeah.
He understood that other sellers are also entering the niche, and the price competition begins, and there are a lot of factors coming in that need to be taken into account to understand whether you're actually profitable or not. For him at that time, it was an important decision because he was having this full-time job, and at some point, in order to switch, right, to understand whether it makes sense to continue selling or not, you need to understand whether you have profit. So, being involved with his full-time job in software development, he understood that there's a possibility of creating this piece of software. So he teamed up with Michael, and they basically founded SellerBoard in 2017. It began its expansion in Germany initially, but then afterwards, things started picking up more traction, and here we are in 2025. And yeah, so that was the beginning of it.
Cool. And you yourself joined 3 years ago, right?
Yes, it's been something close to 3 years. Initially, I was focused on marketing, but then we understood that marketing for a software like SellerBoard boils down to kind of explaining the value that software can bring. And given the fact that there's a lot to it, now SellerBoard is not just a profit analytics software. There's also different other stuff like inventory management, PPC optimization, alerts and other stuff, product review requests. So people need to understand how it works so they can test it out, and they can really understand, okay, it's worth, I need that subscription because that software delivers value. So this is what marketing for a software like SellerBoard means, explaining the value. So my role in the team transitioned from marketing to product knowledge specialist, which it is currently. And my full-time job is to try and help out sellers get the most out of the software.
Yeah. Speaking of trying the software, and I would have mentioned that much later on, but as you mentioned it, you do have one of the longest trials, free trials, which is 2 months, right? So I can just mention that. You can see the link down below, for which you will also get a discount when you get into the paid plan. Yeah. Second question, before we get into the demo, are there any major learnings from your end regarding your time at SellerBoard? Yeah, maybe things.
Yes, sure, definitely. Probably the main learning, my personal learning in the team, is that the product is only as successful as the perception of the value that the customers have of the product. Because you can create a great piece of software, you can create something that works really well, but if the final customer doesn't really understand how to use it and can't put it to work in its daily operations, then there's no sense in having such a great piece of software. So that's one. And the second thing is that the best ideas for improving the software, for creating new features and improving existing user experience, it comes from the users themselves. So we need to be in close contact, listen, try to understand the insights and the use cases, and then try to transition that into the software, so the more people can use it and really make the most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of value, by the way, or value perception, it always keeps surprising me that SellerBoard, since 2017, pretty much, as far as I know, hasn't changed its prices. You're still very low, and maybe that's also a little bit of an issue in terms of value perception, because you are
Mhm.
one of the top tools consistently, but also one of the most affordable. So, yeah, it keeps surprising me.
It's just part of the strategy. I think
Yeah,
that maybe it's also a part of the success that we've been enjoying for the past period, for the years that we had, since the positioning of the software
yeah,
versus a lot of the competition that we have is that we want to make it as accessible as possible for as many sellers as possible. So
yeah,
we know that it costs, especially with Amazon, it costs a lot to sell.
yeah.
With every year there are new
Getting to
fees and rising expenses and costs and so on. So if you have an expensive piece of software, chances are that at some point it might get too much, right?
yeah.
So by keeping the product at a certain price point with the pricing plans, we kind of try to not to step into the trap.
Cool. Well, shall we have a look at SellerBoard? I'm just going
Sure.
to share your screen 1 second. Okay. And just as a little reminder, this is not going to be like a full demo of SellerBoard. That would be way too long, but we're going to try to focus on the core profit tracking features. Maybe in another session, we're going to have a look at your PPC features and other feature areas. But for today, just what makes SellerBoard such a good profit tracker in a couple of
Sure.
examples.
Sure. Thank you, David. So just before I begin showing you the profit section, I just want to mention the fact that when you will decide that you want to give it a try or you want to explore the possibility of working with SellerBoard, take into account that SellerBoard, yeah, it is a profit analytics software. It's the core of the product, right? So we have the profit dashboard in front of us right now, and there are other features inside of it that will help you fine-tune your calculations to make them as accurate as possible. But aside from all of this, there's also PPC, so where you can analyze your profitability of your PPC campaigns. So not only PPC specific metrics, but actually PPC profitability, right? Because we know all of the necessary components to take into account when calculating PPC profit, both on an account and campaign and keyword level. So that's one important thing. Also, you'll find options for automations in there. With the inventory section, you'll find tools to plan out your inventory, manage your relationship with the supplier, and then create purchase orders, and once you receive the products, actually create FBA shipments that you can send to FBA. And we'll cover that topic also maybe with David in another video. But also, you can use the autoresponder tool to get reviews for your products or seller feedback. So then with the money back section, you can get reimbursed for things that Amazon owes you for. With the alert section, you can set up alerts that will notify you about important events in your business. So just to scratch the surface and show you that there are things to explore.
Yeah.
And coming back to the profit section. So with SellerBoard, you can create an ecosystem that will show you your profitability on different levels. So on an account level, just to show you your business, how it's running. If you're working in multiple marketplaces, you can understand your situation in all of them. And then also then go deeper and dive into the product level performance, right? And we have two main streams of data. So the first is all of the data we receive from Amazon with every order. And then we also have transactional reports or settlement reports that we receive, I think, in a certain period of time, when we get the factual data and we update everything to make the numbers exact, right? So we also do that. But the main point here is that there's the data stream that comes from Amazon, and then there's the data that you provide. So this is everything that Amazon doesn't know about, and starting off with your cost of goods, right? So one important, I would say, unique selling proposition, or at least a powerful side of SellerBoard, is that you have different ways of accounting for your variable cost of goods, right? So because supplier prices change, there are things that need to be taken into account, like tariffs, or maybe changing shipping, changing prices for shipping services and stuff like that. So it changes over time, and to keep calculations accurate, you need to have that variable model. And I'm going to show you in a minute how you can do that. So that's important. Also, you can input your indirect expenses or overhead expenses. Like imagine things that you are paying for, but that are not part of the Amazon operations, right? So think of maybe rent for your own warehouse, or if you have a private label, you're making pictures of your products with a photographer, maybe you're paying for those services, or maybe you're just paying your subscription for SellerBoard and want to include it into your calculations with the profit. So this is also what you can do with the indirect expenses section. I'm going to show it all. My point here was to highlight the fact that we have data from Amazon and we have data from you that you can input. And the way that you input it, we try to make it as flexible as possible. So you would fine tune the input of this data to your business model, because, businesses are very different. Small sellers, big sellers, private label, resellers, and so on. So now let's dive into the profit dashboard, take a look at how it works. In the profit section, it is the main tool to analyze your profitability. You have 5 main views, which you can switch up here at the top part of the screen. So we have the tiles view, which is in front of you right now. Then we have the chart view, P&L, map, and trends. Each one has its own angle or perspective on the data. So the tiles view gives you a quick look at your main KPIs for different periods. In every tile, you have a separate periods. These tiles are customizable, so you can set any date you want, maybe one of the templates or a custom range. And it will show you the main KPIs like the ones you see here: sales, orders, refunds, advertising costs, and so on. But if you want to dive deeper to understand how exactly these numbers ended up the way they are, so let's say we are looking at last month right here, which was in this demo account, November 29, right? We are living in the future. So net profit here was $10,500. And if I'll click on more, then I'll get a complete breakdown of profitability calculation. So I can see that I had sales, which were divided into organic and sponsored sales. I can understand that breakdown. And also, if I'm running a subscribe and save model, if I'm enrolled in that program, so I'll have my direct sales and subscription sales as well in here. Then the same will apply for number of units sold. Then I will have my promos. Think of all of the coupons, all of the discounts, and everything goes together, aggregated under promo, and then these numbers are subtracted from your sales. Then you have your advertising costs. It's important to mention here that, first of all, we pull the advertising costs through your PPC API, which you connect separately, but also it's a pretty straightforward process. And aside from that, you can also connect your external marketing channels. Think of TikTok, think of Instagram, think of Google. So if you're bringing in traffic from those channels to your Amazon listings, we can account for those advertising costs as well. So we pull them directly, and also we allocate those costs on the product level, right? Because we know what were the final destinations of those campaigns, right? Which listing. So the advertising costs.
Just a little side note: SellerBoard is actually, as far as I know, and there are not many people that would know better, but actually the only profit tracker right now that also has the external ads costs. Maybe Profitero, but that's like a enterprise tool, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, among the typical Amazon profit trackers, only SellerBoard has that.
Thank you, David. I actually learned it today. I never knew that. So I'm also learning something new. So then once we have the advertising costs, we can also account for your shipping costs. And if you're doing FBA, obviously that will come with the Amazon fees, which is a little bit lower. If you're doing also FBM, right, your shipping costs will be over here under shipping costs, so separately. And you have several options how you can account for FBM costs. So first of all, if you're using a software like ShipStation, Vico, so you can connect those accounts to SellerBoard, and we'll pull automatically the FBM shipping costs and assign them on an order level, right? So that takes a lot off your shoulders. But if you don't, if you're using some kind of other provider, it's not also a problem. You can use the shipping costs page and set up FBM shipping profiles, which I'm going to introduce to you as well really quickly. What it is actually, you can design profiles limited in time or maybe unlimited in time. So think of periods, right, by period, which you can use to replicate your pricing grid from the service provider. So let's say you have a shipping service provider for FBM that charges you by weight. Depending on the weight of the package, of the order, you have different, you have different pricing for FBM shipping costs. So you can actually create that pricing grid. and do it for multiple marketplaces. So depending where you are sending the order. So we'll understand where the order came from, and then where you're sending it, and then apply the specific FBM shipping cost. Okay, so then you'll have information about refunds. One of the important things I always try to highlight when you start working with SellerBoard, you actually have you have this ability to understand the refund cost structure. So you will learn with time that there are things that are reimbursed with every refund by Amazon and things that are not reimbursed. And when you start to follow these costs and how what's the refund cost structure is, then you learn that actually refunds are a major profit killer. So you need to pay attention, especially for the products that have a refund rate higher than the threshold that Amazon has for not applying additional fees, right? So that's an important thing. I have a whole presentation on that separately, but just be sure to learn your refund cost structure. And then the Amazon fees over here, you'll see all of the transactions between you and Amazon directly. So all the fees, maybe if they have reimbursements that are sending your way, you'll also see here, like for instance, reversible reimbursement right here. We have $7 coming in from Amazon. And yeah, all of those fees will be displayed under this section. Cost of goods, obviously how much you paid for the product, then your gross profit will be calculated. And then once we have that, you can also account, as I mentioned previously, for your indirect expenses, everything outside of Amazon. So it will go over here, and we will subtract that amount from the gross profit to show you your net profit. So this is how your net profit is calculated, actually. And then underneath, you'll have a bunch of other metrics, some of them related to traffic, to conversion rate. And then maybe if you're enrolled in the SNS, also you have some metrics about that. So this is everything on an account level for last month. And I think I want to highlight actually is that once you have this period selected and you understand what the situation was for that period, underneath you'll have a breakdown by product, what exactly added up to that performance. And once you have that, you can analyze the performance on a product level with the same profitability calculation structure. So everything I showed you previously will now be on a product level, and you can see the reason why, for instance, this product brought in this much profit. And if I want to understand, okay, what were my least performing products, all it takes just to sort out the table the other way around and to see the products that made me lose money, right? And I can understand, oh, okay, I have products that are actually leaking profit with every sale, right? Okay, I sold 83 units, but then I made negative profit, right? And then the next logical question that comes into play is, okay, do I still have a lot of those products? I mean, should I sell them through? Should I liquidate? And you have a quick way of checking that. If you hover, for instance, this product right here is FBA, and this is FBM. So if I hover it, I get a quick snapshot from the inventory section. Well, I can learn my FBA stock. I can learn my days until next order, sales velocity, and many more other metrics that we calculate and we pull from Amazon. But the point is that I can understand if I have profitable products that I was selling, for instance, last month, do I have more stock or should I reorder? And if I have products that are leaking out budget, first of all, I can go ahead and understand why exactly is that happening. So clearly, I see $715 of sales, and then I see negative profit, and then I understand why exactly that happened. So something is really off with this shipping cost. Just off the bat, I understand that I was spending more than 50% of everything I made on sales on shipping these products. So I mean, in this particular example, it is a demo account. So I cannot tell you that in your business, in your situation, you have the same numbers. But in my case, with this demo account, I can see the reason why. So probably I should go and check out what exactly happened in there. Maybe, I have some things either I need to change with my services or with the product. I need to change the pricing on it. If I have inflated advertising costs, maybe I need to try and get my acres down. So I can make some decisions that will help me change this negative value in profit to something a little bit more attractive, right?
If I'm not mistaken, you can also aggregate these kind of numbers for a certain group of products.
That's correct. That's correct. So on the products page, let me just quickly jump to another page, not to bore you too much with the inventory section, the profit section. On the products page, you input information about your products. You can assign tags. So by assigning specific tags to your products, you can then later on use the search bar to filter out results by this tag and basically analyze the results of a specific tag or group of products, right? And you can do it anywhere throughout the software where you have a search bar, right? It's a universal tool. So by the way, since we're here, this is also the place where you input your cost of goods sold. As I mentioned previously, we have we pay a lot of attention to how accurate can you track the cost of goods for your product. So this is why we have several models for doing it. And the basic one, which is by default applied to all your products, is the constant model, right? So whenever you will just start out with SellerBoard, you will just have one single constant value for all your cost of goods. So this is basically it. And then whenever you want to send a new FBA shipment and you will have a different cost of goods for the same product, then you can switch. You can switch to by period batch marketplace. And inside of it, let's take it one of the examples. You'll find 3 different options. So you can account by period. It means that you can have different values for your cost of goods in different periods of time. And in between those periods, there's a hard switch between the values. Or if you want to have a little bit more accuracy in there, because by the time you switch from one value to another, you might have a remainder of stock from the previous batch. So another way to do it is to use the weighted average model. That means that when switching from one value to another in between periods, SellerBoard will account for the remainder of stock and then look at the stock value with the new batch and do a weighted average between those and a weighted average between the values in your cost of goods per unit. But then we just recently introduced the most accurate model, which is the first in, first out method. It means that we will apply a specific value for your cost of goods to every unit in the batch. And we will deduct units in this batch. And once the batch will run out, we will switch to the next entry in your cost of goods. So for instance, over here, I have 2 entries. One is by period, means that from the very beginning, I was accounting for my cost of goods by period up until the 30th of October, 2025, right? This is when I switched to FIFO. So everything before this date was accounted for with $3 per unit as COGS. And then on the 30th of October, I sent in a batch of 400 units with the COGS of $3.5 per unit. And I already managed to sell 19 units since then, right? And I still have 381 to sell. Once these will run out, the SellerBoard will switch to a new batch, which I still haven't sent in yet. So when I will do that, I will just, create a new batch, say, okay, I'm sending 200 more units in. The price now will be hopefully less, maybe 3.2. And then SellerBoard will switch from this one to this entry. Okay, so this is about accuracy for your cost of goods. Let's go back to the profit section and to the dashboard specifically. I just showed you how you can zoom in from a product from an account level to a product level and then learn the reasons behind the performance of a specific product. But then you can also use other angles or other views to analyze the data. So this is the tiles view, but then you have the chart view, which can help you analyze the evolution of specific metrics over time if you're analyzing things in perspective. So you can go to configuration, pick which metrics exactly you want to see on the chart. So if I would be to analyze, let's say my refund situation, maybe I want to look at my refund costs that I had and the number of refunds and so on. So I might use these metrics right here. The chart will calculate everything. I can maybe compare not necessarily month by month. Maybe I'm going for a more in-depth analysis week by week, so I can filter out the results. As David, you mentioned, I can do it for a group of products, not necessarily for all of my catalog. Then I would input my hashtag something that I've assigned as a tag for that group of products, and then only analyze that. If I would be interested in a specific week over here, I would just click it. And underneath, again, I would see the product list, and I would be able to analyze all of these metrics and many more, right, on a product level. And then again, jump into understanding the reasons why exactly those metrics were the way they are, actually. So this is the chart view, switching gears to profit and loss. This is like, think of a big spreadsheet where you have, like your spreadsheets, by the way, David, where you have all of your metrics in comparison month by month or week by week or day by day on an account level. Again, if you're trying to analyze product groups, you can use the same search bar to filter out results by either by specific ASIN, actually, by brand, by ASIN, by SKU, by tag. So there are different options for narrowing down your search. And then you'll be able to expand every group of metrics and drill down to the date and to the fee maybe, and see how it evolved. So if I'm looking at Amazon fees, I want to see how my inbound transportation fee changed over time. Right here, I can do it just by understanding how this line right here evolved over time, right? So you can get really granular about it.
Yeah.
This is really good for starting an analysis. And also, if you're trying to perform your analysis elsewhere, you can always download any of the dashboards you see using this button right here, share the data in an Excel file or CSV, and maybe incorporate it in your own workflow. So that's there.
My
Again,
feature request for this page would probably be coloring a bit, like a heat map thingy.
Heat map. Okay, yeah. By the way, the heat map, thank you for the feature request. It's a good idea. We will start rolling out that feature on the trends page. I'll jump over map and switch to trends just to continue your line of idea. So it's already in the works, and probably in a few weeks, as of from the date of this recording, we'll have it rolled out. So you will have a switch, I think. So you will be able to see it the way you see it now, or by switching on the heat map, you'll see the cells highlighted in green or red, depending on where you have a positive or negative dynamic, or you have high and low values. Since we're on the trends page, I'm just going to quickly comment on it. This is a page where you can learn the evolution of specific metrics, a single metric, just one, but on a product level, and to see how products compared one to another for that specific metric. So you choose the metric, you immediately then see small charts next to each product, and your weeks or days or month, depending on what you chose, rolled out in front of you from right to left. So this is the most recent one. And then what normally I suggest doing is trying to learn what are your products that have the highest dynamic or highest delta, that the changes that happen the most, right? So you can just sort out the table by value ascending or descending, or delta ascending or descending. So the trends view can help you understand if there's a trend happening early on. If you see, things that are going up or down for consecutive periods of time, probably maybe it's important to look into the reasons of why exactly a metric is changing. And if you can affect it somehow, stop it, or maybe capitalize on it, then do it. So
is that the percentage delta or the absolute value?
This is the absolute value. If I would switch to delta, you will see the percentages here. What you see in here is the comparison to the previous period. So if I would be to sort out by delta, let's say descending, right? So I would see the biggest changes first, then it would look like this.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing I want to show you here in the profit section probably is the map. Also a feature we rolled out, I think, a year ago, something like that. It's a heat map where you can analyze either the distribution of sales or stock, and this is the switch where you can go from one to another, by marketplaces. If you have an European account like we have here, then you will see countries, marketplaces, and then you'll see how much you have either in stock in distribution centers, or if you'll switch to sales, then you'll see how much you sold and where. And underneath, you'll see performance in every country, and also by product in every country. So you'll be able to analyze, what is the regional performance of your business. For the US, you would see the same thing, but in the States, right? So the countries in the market in Europe will be replaced by states in the United States. All right. Just a quick reminder also, you can download this data, search for this icon, download the data, work with it, to your own liking. I know that we are running a little bit out of time here, so I'll try to just very briefly tell you what the features in here are and how you can use them. So the shipping costs is a page where you can set up your shipping profiles for FBM shipping costs. So as I mentioned previously, you can say that I have a shipping profile and it should be valid, let's say from this date to this date, or maybe forever. And I can apply it either to all of my catalog, or maybe I can apply a shipping profile to only to specific products that I need to, and then say, okay, I want to either account for my FBM shipping cost exactly how much the client was charged for it, or I can try and replicate the pricing grid of my shipping service provider, be it by order price, number of units in the order, or maybe by package weight. So what I can do next, I can set up, a pricing grid having multiple columns, maybe, from the smallest ones to the biggest ones. So let's say everything under 1 kilo, and then everything under 3 kilos, and everything under 5 kilos, and so on. So try to replicate that. And by marketplace, I can set up a domestic shipping scenario and say what domestic means for me specifically and for my business. And then also I can add additional marketplaces. So I can select countries where exactly I'm shipping those products and how much it will cost me. Then you can also create individual shipping profiles for specific products, or if you have none, then you will have a default shipping profiles applied to all of your FBM orders. So that's that. And the indirect expenses page also, the thing I mentioned previously, is where you can track all of your one-time and recurring expenses. So let's say you have a recurring expense, you have a pricey software that costs you, let's say, I don't know, $200 per month, right? And instead of having one day of the month where $200 are deducted from your profit, because it's an indirect expense, you can amortize those expenses. So you can say, okay, I'm adding an expense and I want to maybe, see not $200 pulled from my account every month on a specific date, but actually I want to amortize it. So I will see a small daily portion subtracted from, as an indirect expense. It will show me how that one big expense is affecting recurring expense is affecting my daily performance on the profit.
Very nice.
So yeah, I think that
mainly
pretty
on
much
account level. These extra costs, are these mainly on account level, I would assume?
Actually, you can also go ahead and select a product. So you can, assign your indirect expenses only to specific products.
Yeah, cool. So like design costs, for example, for images.
Sure. Design costs, photography costs, or maybe anything related to packaging, or I don't know what exactly, but
cool.
Yeah.
That was a lot. Anything else you wanted to mention about the profit?
Yes, there are other things. Maybe just to give you two mentions without going into details. Search terms is a page also in the profit section, and it's here for a reason, because it's not about PPC only. It's about understanding which search terms are performing well for your products, and maybe you can go ahead and include them in your listings. And also, how it works. If you're enrolled in the brand registry program, we will access your brand analytics report, pull all of the data from there, and include it in this dashboard right here, which is a lot more user-friendly. And you can see the whole breakdown of your conversion funnel, right? From impressions, and then to clicks, and then to add to cart, and then to orders, and then to sales, and to profit estimation by search term.
Search query performance report data, right?
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Yeah, cool.
So one more important thing is that you can compare your performance versus the competition, so versus the market, right? And you can see your share for every of these metrics.
Very important.
This might highlight what search terms maybe you are not using in your listings or not using in your campaigns, but that are performing really well and your share is really low on them, right? So maybe you need to try and bump it up. So that's one. And the second thing, if you run a business with recurring sales, maybe you should also check out the lifetime value dashboard, where you can analyze your accumulated sales per buyer, right?
Not just recurring sales, I would say. Any business that has a brand where you want to sell other products of the same brand, right?
Yes, but why I'm saying, recurring, because, you can actually, you're right in the terms if you will have customers coming back to buy other products as well from your brand. But for businesses that run, recurring sales, if you have customers buying the same product from you, it's a little bit, I would say a more frequent scenario. If you have like consumables and replans or stuff like that, then it's easy to understand which products are bringing in repeat business for you. So you can plan your customer acquisition costs and maybe decide on how much you can spend just to get a customer the first time, because eventually he will come to buy the second product. All right, David, I think I took a lot more than we initially planned. And thank you for allowing me to showcase SellerBoard. Again, there's a lot, but in the time given, I think that these are the main things regarding profitability.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks a lot, Alex. That was indeed a lot. I'm just going to turn off your screen share, and maybe we can just address two final questions just to finish things off. So where do you see yourself and especially SellerBoard in the next 5 years?
5 years. Okay, so I'll start with probably the software. Me personally, I'm not, the founder,
Yeah.
neither nor I'm, the head of product, but I am in close relationship with them. I do have my own vision of the product. I really love, the things that we are doing at SellerBoard, and I'm in close contact with users, SellerBoard users on the daily. I have a lot of calls, and I try to help them out with things they don't understand, and I get a lot of feedback. Luckily, I consider myself very lucky. And what I feel that we are all going into, on one side the users and what they need, on the other side the team, and they also understand the need behind it, and eventually we'll get there, is turning SellerBoard into an ecosystem for different marketplaces, and like a one place where sellers can really understand their profitability in all of the channels, not only Amazon, because currently we also have Walmart. So if you're selling on Walmart, you can connect your Walmart account. If you're selling on eBay, you also have an eBay dashboard in there. Shopify, there's a separate solution for that. So that's sellerboard.io. If you have a Shopify account, the user experience is pretty much the same. And now we also have a lot of requests regarding TikTok Shop, and regionally for other marketplaces as well, not as big as the ones that I named. But the thing is that the truth is that the sellers are diversifying their sales channels, because it doesn't make sense to focus strictly on one channel. And taking that into account, they need the ability to see the whole picture, not only isolated the Amazon part and the Walmart part and then the TikTok or anything else. It needs to be a complete picture. So ideally, this is how I see SellerBoard, and maybe not even in 5 years, a lot sooner than that. But this is, in my opinion, the next big step we're going to take. And yeah, we'll get there soon. Me personally, my role in SellerBoard in 5 years, probably I like to continue doing what I'm doing. So talking to the users, to the sellers, trying to understand what their requirements are. But then also I would like to step in more into the product part, being a lot more involved into developing the product itself, because I'm able to to take that demand and what the customers expect of the product to be, and try to help the product team kind of transform it into the solution that we have.
Sweet. That sounds exciting to me. And I would, yeah, it's not just the profit tracking for all these other channels, but you're also moving into the other areas, right, of
Of
PPC.
course,
How do you see the focus of Sellerboard maybe
of course.
spreading, or
So
is that a danger?
I would say that the focus is not in danger. If you're I mean, talking about having the core of the product, and if we dilute the main idea of SellerBoard when going to other features, I don't fear for that, actually. And this is only because all of the decisions that we make on the product side are made, first of all, taking into account our strategy. And the main strategy is keeping the core of the product intact, because this is what sellers eventually end up using SellerBoard for. So that's something that we always prioritize in every decision when we roll out a new product release, and we understand, okay, what do we want to include in the next release. If there are things that will improve your profitability calculation accuracy, or improve speed, or improve performance for using the software and the profit section of it, that will go first, always. So that's a no discussion. And after that, obviously, we're trying to understand what more can we bring to the table. So I would say that I don't fear for that. This is going to be and continue staying the focus of the product. But with other marketplaces, we'll develop the other sections as well, because currently we're working on PPC for Walmart. Probably the next section for Walmart will be inventory, and eventually it should logically combine into one single management system, because especially with inventory, you don't have one. If you have a warehouse, you don't have this is for Walmart, this is for
Right.
for Amazon. You just have a warehouse, and then somehow you need to kind of manage all of that for different marketplaces. So we're getting there.
Cool. I guess I will also have to add you to my inventory edition that I'm working on. So I'll soon send you a sheet for that as
All
well,
right.
by the
All
way.
right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And maybe also for a reporting edition. That's another topic I'm working on, for
Okay.
mainly for agencies to show their bosses or their clients what they're working
Sure.
on.
Sure.
Sellerboard probably also fit there. And yeah, let's head to the final question, which is actually from the previous guest on this show, and Stephanie from Adspert, Amazon Ads
Okay.
Automation software, for which you can watch the video in my channel. She asked basically, if you could change your customer profile knowing what you know now in the beginning of the SellerBoard journey? Do you think SellerBoard should have maybe started differently, maybe started with another seller customer profile in mind, maybe focusing more
Mhm.
on, I don't know.
Okay. I think I understand the question. I do want to mention that maybe I'm not the best person to
Yeah.
ask, since I'm not, working with SellerBoard since 2017, but knowing a little bit of history and how things evolved over time.
Yeah.
I think that the answer is no. I think we've hit the right spot, and we really found the niche and the customer profile that we try to search for. As you mentioned in the very beginning, the price point enables really starting sellers try out the software. They have 2 months of free trial, so they can really make sure that the software is a fit. We are sure about the fact that we have a quality product. So this is why we give so much time for customers to test it out. So there sometimes there are a lot of discussions that the majority of the sellers are the ones who are not selling yet, who are just in the phase of discovering products, searching. There's a lot of business in there as well, but we never try to step into that territory. I think that it's already very crowded, and our customer profile are sellers that are already feeling the need to understand their profitability, that understand that spreadsheets and that information exchange is overwhelming. So the time and the experience proved us correct. So we know that this is the correct customer profile, and we'll try to continue developing the products for them. So they are the major focus for SellerBoard, have been and probably will stay the same. Obviously, we're tapping into other markets as well. We are trying to make SellerBoard attractive for the agencies as well, for the big brands, and different, small tweaks and things that make their workflows easier. Also, we do that, but the core audience stays the same. So I don't think that we should have changed it.
I would tend to agree. I mean, your success proves you're right. Basically, you've been at the top in sellers' minds as well, I would think, as the top seller profit tracker, as one of them at least, since forever. So, yeah, I wouldn't change much as well in that regard. And now,
Thanks.
what would you like to ask maybe the future guest on this channel? Anything
Um,
about how they handle
all
their
right.
software and manage their software or whatever.
All right. So I think that my question would be, in their opinion, to what extent is it possible to implement the AI solutions that are currently available in the market to their software or to their service that they're providing, and whether it's worth it? So this is the question.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you about that too. Where do you see SellerBoard integrating AI and all that?
So we are discussing a lot of the things that and trying stuff in trying to implement, and test it out. But with the small experience we have currently, we understand that when it comes to profitability, people really need to be sure, right? And with AI, unfortunately, to this day, there's always a certain level of uncertainty, right?
Right.
You cannot be 100% sure that the results that you get from the AI solutions and method of thinking and predictions and so on is accurate and reflects the real picture. So it comes a little bit in contradiction to the one of the the main principles of SellerBoard. We on one side try to make all of the calculations and everything inside it as accurate as possible, and on the other hand, we would like to, if we would go with implementing AI heavily, then we would be sabotaging this principle. So this is why we are very careful in it. And maybe someday you will see areas of SellerBoard where you will have AI implemented, but I think that process will be slow, and it will be very well calculated what will be the outcome potentially to those decisions.
All right, perfect, Alex. That was a great session. I think we all learned a lot, especially about
Yep,
SellerBoard.
I
And
agree.
yeah,
Thank you.
just a final reminder, if you are interested in a profit tracker, you can get SellerBoard and 100% off the first 2 months with the link in the description below and the comment section. So yeah, definitely worth checking out if you want to just finally know if you're actually making money on Amazon and other channels in the future, especially Walmart already, right? Yeah. So thanks a lot, Alex, again. It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the invitation. I love the work that you are doing, by the way. I've
Thank you.
been following some of the videos, and I learned a lot, maybe more than from other sources regarding the software, because you're doing very tedious work. The comparison is very tedious work. It's research, right? So I love it. keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for the invitation. It's been a pleasure.
All right, man. See you guys.